What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the Civic, so let's get started. So I've been dying to get this thing running again and completely 100% finished. And over the last few weeks, I've been going through and pre-planning, everything that I need to get and everything that I need to do in order to get this car finished. I've got tons of parts on order. Only a few things have showed up, but while I'm waiting for all my parts to come in to really get the ball rolling on this project, that I'm going to go ahead and start working on getting things ready for some of the new stuff that'll be going into the car. And while I'm doing that, I ran out and picked up some parts so that I can do some work on this thing while getting it ready for all the stuff that I have ordered to come in. In my first video about the race car, I had mentioned that I do need to get the clutch master cylinder and the clutch slave cylinder changed out on the car. So while I'm waiting for all my parts to come in to get the camshafts put into the car, and also dealing with the fuel system that I'm going to be running in the car, I ran out and grabbed myself a brand new clutch master cylinder, a brand new slave cylinder from O'Reilly's. Both came with a lifetime warranty, so I'll no longer have to repurchase these parts again. Cost me, I think with tax and everything, it was about like $47 for both of these components. And for the first time in my life, I'm going to attempt to use a new tool here to try to make bleeding the clutch a lot easier on me. So we'll find out how this thing's going to work out while I get everything in the car ready to change these things over. Got a lot of work ahead of me to get this clutch changed out because, well, let me just go ahead and show you. Alright, so because the car itself is an EF model, it was originally a cable clutch setup, and I converted the car to a hydraulic clutch setup for our H and F series transmissions. My clutch master cylinder is located up inside the car. I completely converted the pedal assembly to accept a hydraulic master cylinder up underneath the dash inside the car. So we're going to be climbing inside the car to pull the dashboard out, and that in itself is going to be kind of interesting, because if you guys hadn't noticed that up in my EF, I happen to have a custom mounted EG dash. It's really just the skin of the dash, and I've got a bunch of like custom little brackets bolting this thing everywhere that it's held into place. So I'm gonna have to go through the headaches of getting this dashboard out of this car. That way we can gain access up under all this mess up inside here, because somewhere way deep back in there is where my clutch master cylinder is. So yeah, this is going to be kind of a fun and interesting task, getting to the clutch master cylinder that I have up in here. Here's what I'm dealing with now that the console's out, where my gauges are put in. I'm going to have to take my top cover off. It's holding my gauge pod in there to unplug my pigtail for the wideband controller. And back here I've got a quick disconnect pigtail for my oil pressure gauge there. I can disconnect those two, and I'll get that completely out of the way. And that's where the real fun begins, is way up under here. I have an alarm and all kinds of fun stuff, just zip tied and shoved up wherever I could fit it. So I'm gonna have fun getting all this stuff down and making our way towards our clutch pedal assembly. I'm making a little bit of progress. I'm kind of getting there. You see, I've got it like pulled off. It's unbolted. Got most of the wiring undone, but I still got some stuff that's just kind of tied into I don't know what yet. It's been so long since I've been in here. Some of it's for the alarm, and some of it, I don't know if it's for some of my accessory and my gauges and stuff. I don't know. I gotta figure out, you know, what the rest of all this wiring is back here that's intertwined with everything that's running to my dash. Then I can get this dash out. And a little sneak peek. I got the dashboard. There's my clutch master cylinder. The dash is out. And yeah, it looks like a nightmare in here. I know. How I stress on you guys to be clean and yada yada yada, and yet here's my race car and wiring is just kind of thrown everywhere, hanging however, bolted however. So maybe while I'm in here I'll find a way to clean up some of this wiring and get it buttoned up a little bit better. Here's where my fuel lines, my fuel filter that's been relocated inside the car. There's where my fuse box is. And right up here, there's my clutch lines running up inside the car, which happen to be a clutch setup system from the CB7s. And then realistically, I just need to get this fuse box, which I just have held up with a few different zip ties here and here, and this wire harness, be able to drop this down out of my way, and we'll have access to our converted pedal assembly. Get this master cylinder out of here. Well, I've got just about as much access as I'm going to get without going through another hour or two's worth of headaches to remove just a bunch of stuff and clean it out of the way. So we'll get our 12mm wrench here up onto our line, break this guy loose. It took me both my hands because my knuckle's a little beat up, so I can't get good pressure. Anyways, so we got our line. It's now loosened. There shouldn't be any fluid left in this thing because it's leaked and everything all out into the engine bay. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe I'll just go ahead and grab a Tupperware container and just throw it down here just in case. But I got that. Line is now loosened. I'll go ahead and take a screwdriver and loosen up my clamp here on my hose, and we'll get that pulled out. And while we're working on that, it looks like I'm going to need to put a new grommet there into the hole to protect my rubber hose from getting eaten away. And then, well, that's kind of tricky. And then, once I get those two out of the way, I'll be able to go right up, back up in here to where the pin is being held into the clutch lever. I'll pull the Clevite pin out, then I will get the pin removed. Then we just have two 12mm bolts, and then we should be able to wiggle this out of position. I really didn't want to have to do it. I'm going to have to pull the whole entire pedal assembly out. I've already started getting all the wiring up out of my way. I got my line loosened up and off of there. I spent, you know, a good 15 minutes fighting with getting my Clevite pin out of the clutch pedal pin. But I ran into an issue. If you can see my pin there, it's almost out of the bracket, but it's running into my hard line that I have tied up over here, and I can't get it out any further than this. So I'm gonna have to pull my pedal assembly out just to be able to screw around with this pin. There she be. Pedal assembly's out of the car. Clutch master is now off the pedal assembly. Not a fun task. I don't know if I'd want to do this setup again, But now I have more work to do to change the master cylinder because this is kind of a hybrid setup, where I'm using the rod from a Civic setup on an Accord master cylinder. Why I'm doing that? Because the larger fitting, I felt that the Accord and Prelude setup was meant for the H and F series clutch components, so that's why I chose to run this setup. But with the pedal assembly, I had to use the shorter rod, or I wouldn't have been able to fit everything up under that, or I would not have been able to fit everything up under the dash. And just as simple as that, with a pair of snap ring pliers, here's my rod disconnected from the master cylinder, which is just a little rod held in with a little C-clip. I just got to swap that over to the new master, put it back on the pedal assembly, get that pedal assembly back in the car, and you guys know the drill from there. The difficult part is now finished. I've got the whole pedal assemblies bolted back up in the car. There's our new master cylinder with our lines reattached. Before I put this thing back together, I made sure that the little bleeder on the side of it, that it's not loose. And I'm not going to have any leaks or problems once I put everything back together. The hard part's over with. Now it's just time for me to go underneath the hood and take care of the slave cylinder. That's going to be the easy part. Then we'll get to try out the new pneumatic air bleeder kit. Hopefully that thing's going to work out and make life a lot easier and quicker. Get this job over with. This will be the easy part. Break this loose, get the line off, remove the 212s, we'll pull the unit out, put the new unit in, 212s back in, put the line back on, then we'll get the bleeder kit hooked up. Oh yeah, check this out, guys. See, I got this thing fully unbolted and it hasn't even like decompressed itself. Check this out, like compared to the new one here. The sleeve I just pulled off is stuck in. Look at the new one compared to the old one. Nice and extended. Not extended, stuck in. We're going to be in business here pretty soon. I guess it's time to figure out how to start using this thing, which according to the books and the instructions, I got all these different little connector fittings for the fluid fill bottle. So I need to get this thing filled up with brake fluid. And this attachment here, I've already tried it out. It fits inside the clutch reservoir container just perfectly. So I'll need to get this guy attached up here onto the onto that thing. I'll need to find myself a fitting for my air hose to attach to the bleeder bottle here, and then we'll get this thing hooked up and we're gonna give this thing a try. Well, I tried to put you guys on a tripod while I was using the new pneumatic air bleeder, and it's just so windy out here, as I expected. You know, the wind just blew my camera and the tripod over, so I don't really know how well or how much of that footage is gonna work out. So just pulling out the camera on the old selfie stick right now for you guys. But I'm here inside the car. You know, the at first the air bleeder seemed like it was going to start working. It sucked a little bit of fluid, but then it just wasn't doing anything after that. So I've kind of skipped over, you know, trying the air bleeder for the moment. And I'm here inside the car manually, you know, trying to bleed it, you know, the old school way with my bleeder bottle and old one by here, you know, to hold the clutch pedal down for me. But it seems like it's going extremely slow, and there quite possibly it could be just an issue, you know, with the fact of how my master cylinder is mounted upside down and kind of slightly at a downward angle, that it just might have be having some trouble getting all the fluid up to where it needs to, and air might just be bypassing, you know, from the filler down to the feed line over to the clutch slave. So I'm gonna try one thing over here. Is I'm gonna crack the bleeder open up here inside the car, since I do have the fluid reservoir and a container is up higher than where my master cylinder is. That once I crack this open, I might be able to get enough fluid to bleed up into here and push all that air out, and then maybe the air bleeder will start working. And if not, then at that point I should be able to just manually, keep pumping it, with the one by stick here and cracking the valve open with the bleeder bottle. So. Alright guys, well that seemed to do the trick, by cracking open the bleeder and letting fluid fill up into the master cylinder, and then I now have activity, coming out at my bleeder bottle. I tried the air powered one, and I'm just having no luck with that thing. So here I am back to using the old school by myself manual method. Good old Mr. 1x here. Push the pedal to the floor. I've got that thing wedged up in between the seat. It's kind of, at least the nice thing, is I now have an actual fluid feeder, so I won't have to continuously check on the fluid level in there while I do this. But now that the pedal's to the floor, we'll crack open our line. And as you can see, I now had some stuff coming out the tube, some nasty looking stuff. So manually I'm getting this thing bled out. It's going to take me a while to do this by hand, but once that's done and over with, we'll be able to say this clutch is finally good to go. I bled quite a bit of fluid. I had like a good amount in this bottle, so I bled quite a bit through. Got all the air bled out of the lines. I've got my rod adjusted to the length that I need it. Everything's all adjusted. Now it's just time to sit in the driver's seat and stick my foot on this pedal and see how it feels under my feet. Get all this moved up out of the way. Nice little bit of free play right here before I hit the pressure. Feels good so far. Feels great. Alright guys, I think that's just about going to wrap it up. I've got the new clutch master, new clutch slave changed over here in the EF race car. The fluid's all bled out. My pedal's adjusted. It feels great. I'm going to be leaving the dashboard out of the car for the moment because I still have more work to do. As soon as the shipment of all my new parts come in, we'll be able to jump back in and finish up what we're doing here inside the car. Then we'll get the dashboard put back in, and we'll be moving on to changing those camshafts over in the engine, and we'll be one step closer to having you guys hear this thing run and see this thing run for the first time. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a long weekend. Until next time, peace out.